Okay, so today I am repairing an HP model 23-Q014 all-in-one. You can see the model number there. And now this is actually the bottom base of the machine. You can see here it's laying on its face on a nice soft towel to keep the screen from being scratched. But before I actually start with the disassembly, I wanted to show you how to actually open this machine up because it's not super obvious when you first see it. So what you actually have to do is grab the stand and push it all the way down. And after a short distance, it'll stop. But what you want to do once it stops is just push it a bit further. And once you do, it'll expose this little notch here in the hinge. If you push that up, it'll pop off. So set that aside, and then down inside here, as you can see, are 4 screws. And you're going to take those screws off, and that'll allow you to remove the stand from the machine. So I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick. Okay, so once you've removed those 4 screws, the stand actually lifts up and then out, just like that. So we can set that aside. And now that we have the stand off, we're going to come down to the bottom here. We just get in here and remove these little rubber covers, set those aside. And inside of here is 2 screws. But these screws are not going to be taken out of the case. They're actually used to just pop the case open. When I turn this screw, see how it's moving? So now from here, now that we've unlatched both sides, we can just pull this completely off. Just by getting in there with our fingers and just pulling on it a bit. And it comes right off, just like that. Be mindful because the CD-ROM drive is connected to the back plate and you have to disconnect that before you completely remove the back plate. Okay, so now that we're in the machine, we can go ahead and start the repair. I'm actually replacing the motherboard on this particular machine, and I have my new part here. But what I'm going to do before I actually go any further is open this up and inspect it to make sure there's nothing physically wrong with it, because I don't want to have to tear this whole thing down just to find out that my replacement motherboard is damaged. So I'm going to open this up. Okay, so here's my replacement board. Everything on it looks to be a-okay. You can see it didn't come with any memory or a processor, but it did come with the wireless card. I'm going to go ahead and flip it over to the back just to check the back. And everything looks good here. So now I'm a-okay to go ahead and start tearing this machine down the rest of the way. So I'm going to set the camera up and we'll get into it. Okay, so now that I have the motherboard out, I'm going to go ahead and swap the processor from the old board over to the new board here on the right. But before I actually take the processor out, I'm going to just grab some rubbing alcohol. The higher the percentage, the better. And a small piece of paper towel here, and I'm going to clean this old thermal paste off of the processor. So I'm just going to dab a little bit onto the paper towel here, and then just give it a nice wipe down. Just want to get this as clean as we can to make sure it's ready for the new thermal paste when we put the heatsink back on. Alright, now that we have the old thermal paste cleaned off, we can go ahead and release the processor. We just undo this little latch and it lifts right up. And we'll pull it out. And it should go the same way on the other one. I don't know if this is in shot or not. Yeah, it is. But in case you get it mixed up, there's a little arrow here on the corner, and that's going to line up with the little block here on the side of the socket, and it should drop right in. Shouldn't need any force or anything. Should be very easy. And we just do the reverse of what we did to latch it back into place, and I'll go ahead and close up the old motherboard as well. And that is it. Now we can start the reassembly. Okay, now that the motherboard has been resecured and all the cables have been reconnected, I'm going to apply some fresh thermal paste to the processor here. And this is just a little tube of Arctic Silver 5. And I'm just going to put a little pea-sized dot right on the center of the processor here. That should be plenty. It only takes a little bit. And now that I've done that, I can go ahead and start putting the heatsink back on. So I'll go ahead and do that now. Okay, at this point everything is reassembled for the most part, so I'm going to go ahead and try to power it on before I completely close up the case and put all the metal bracketry and everything back on, just to confirm that it works before I do all that. So I'm going to grab the power cable and we'll try it out. Okay, you couldn't see it, but that did in fact fix the issue. The machine powered on, which it wasn't doing before, so the only step left to do now is to plug in this cable, I forgot, and to do the final assembly. Hello! So I've got everything back together and it's plugged in, so we're ready to do the power on and final test. Here we can see the LED comes on, so that's a good sign. Before it wouldn't power on at all. We've got a display, and it looks like it's booting Windows 10 or maybe 8, could be 8. Okay, so everything seems to be working. I was able to connect to my Wi-Fi, as you can see, and everything seems to be fine. I don't have the password, so I can't get logged in to test any further, but I have tested the touchscreen, and that does appear to be working as well. So I will deliver this back to the customer as repaired. Alright, well that's it. Thanks for watching, guys, and until next time, take it easy.